Hello and welcome to Stackflow Tech. My name is Emmanuel Meli, and in this video, we are going to discuss and understand the way we can use Codeunit instead of having a code on an action. So right away, I'm going to create an object of type Codeunit. So I'm trying to locate a folder that we should use. And now that I cannot see, so you can just create a new folder units so that we can store code units right inside here. So right click and create new AL object. We'll just create a code unit. And then we will need to provide, because we are using the wizard, we will need to provide the code unit. Let's call it library management. So and then finish. We don't need to specify a lot of things since it's a code unit. So a code unit is an object where we can place our AL code that we can be able to reuse in other objects. Let's say in a page, in a table, in a report. So we can place our code right here. Code unit has global variables. So we might need to create global variables. For instance, in our code right here. So in this code, we will need a variable such as book lending line. So we will just create this variable in our, let's call it a record of book lending line. Then inside a code unit, you can have your various procedures. So let me use a snippet to create a procedure. Procedure. So we don't want to be local, so that we can be able to access in other objects outside here. So let's call this you can name your procedures appropriately, and then for this, let me decide the name for this procedure, whereby we are doing we are changing the status to approved. We are also doing we're changing the status of a book to booked. So let's call it book booking. It's like a tongue twister, but now I want us to copy our code right inside here, and then there will be an error that I'm expecting to see. Okay, this requires you to have understood how to create a procedure in AL. Procedure is just like it's a function that does a particular work. So it has a name, it has its variables. This is where you specify your local variables that are only accessed within this procedure. I mean inside here, the body of this procedure. So again, a procedure as a body. The begins up to the end. That is the body of the procedure. So you understand. We also need a variable for this rec. And for this case, I'm going to create something like a property of of uh, of a procedure. So rec is our book lending. So I'm going to create a parameter right here. Let's call it book lending. Then it is a record called book lending. Now, remember, this is like our rec when we go to this object right here. This is our book lending page. This is a page where we do select books right here in the lines, and then there's an action at the top where you can just click approve. So the stuff. Let me go to the front end so that I can explain rightfully. Um, okay, so for procedure, we don't expect much of code duplication, since we can always call a procedure from whichever object that we are in. So, and that is what I'm going to demonstrate after this is done. Yeah, I think it's done. So I'm going to switch the role center to library. This is how you switch role centers. So I've used some shortcuts, but we'll get into that in the future. So now, sorry, it's getting ready. So as it's getting ready, we can as well talk about something right here. So remember, you are having this code in line 7, and then in line this way you reset our variable, the book lending line. And on line 98, we need to set range, and as said, set range is like a filter. You're trying to get particular record or records. And so we will have all the lines in book lending lines. Let me just demonstrate now that it's done doing what it was doing. So this is our books. These are our books. We still have a chance to add more books right here. And then we have our action approve here. So this action, it changes the status to approved, and it also changes the status of this book as booked. Now you can see this book is still available. You can still book it. Now we'll go to our procedure, and then instead of having rec, you can have book lending. You can have book lending. So we also need one for books. So we'll make it books. We'll make it a global variable for book. Then we'd have handled all the errors except this part where we are doing the rec. Rec means the current record, and it is also used in pages and tables. You cannot use rec in Codeunit unless you create a variable called rec. That will be okay. But in this case, we'll just use book lending as our rec, because that is where we will be running our procedure. So we need to replace this. We need to replace this code. Let me start it from somewhere here with our code unit. So we've deleted the whole code, and we want to bring the functionality from this code unit to our action right here, approve. This is what I mean. This action, the code that will be run when you hit this action, it will trigger this code inside here on a trigger on action. So I'm going to create a variable again. Let me make it a global variable for library management. Let me use a short form. Sorry. So this is a variable of type Codeunit. You also need to understand types of variables in AL, and the Codeunits will have to specify our library management. So now, right here, down below the status, I'll call library management dot. You can see we have two procedures on run. This will run the whole code unit, but this one will run specifically the bookkeeping procedure. So it has an error because when we created this procedure or a method or a function, we specify that we must pass in a parameter. And our parameter in this case will just pass rec, because that is our current record. When I go back to our procedure, I was deleting rec right here. And I was also replacing rec with bookkeeping right here. This is because we were trying to copy procedure from an action to a code unit. Now I will try to test, then we'll see if it works. So I'm going to test with an existing record. So let me use this one. Okay. 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 It's still open. So let's try to book one. So you can see it's available. Let's book another book. Let's say book three. So I will run the function here. Let me try to submit. Yeah, it's pending. So I will run this function for approve. Then before I even run, let me tell you what we should expect. We should expect that this status here, where is it? Let me bring that status from the action. Let me bring it to okay. I choose to keep it there for some reasons. So right now I'm going to run this code and I'm expecting it will change the status of the book lending line right here to booked, and it will also change the status of these books. This the book one and book three. See, we have book one and then we have book three. So if you open this record, you can see it is available. So we want to ensure that by the time we are done doing this process, all those two books, book one and book three, will be marked as booked. So we'll go to book lending and then we go to the second one. You can see we have book one and book three. They are still available because they have not been approved. Let's try to approve. And again, there should be a message somewhere to tell us that that's been approved successfully. So maybe we should add a message just after this part here. Message approved successfully and booked and books booked. Now, this is a message we are expecting to see. Maybe something else we can learn is that we can still create a variable to store that message right here. Let's delete this one since we don't need it. Let's call it success message. So for this variable, since it's a text of type label, so we'll call it label, and then we can paste what we just copied here, or you can go the long way of typing, and then you can pass in that success message right there on line 24. Remember, this is just our local variable within our our procedure or our function. So let me publish so that we can test alongside that message. If this code will reach this part, it means it has successfully ran all this. And it will not mean that it has successfully executed and done what we've told the code to do. We are yet to see. Now it has published successfully. Let's go to landings. Let's go to the second one. It has two records. So let's try to approve up. Approved successfully and books booked. So it means that this line right here, line 24, was executed. It also means that all these lines were executed if at all they met these conditions, like the ifs we've said, the set range, and then there is another get here. It's a condition that you need to get that particular book number. So if I click OK, you can see this status have changed from available to booked. And what that means is that the line from 18 to 21, these are the lines that runs when you execute. Well, okay, not when you execute, but these lines run and they change the status of the book. We are going to go to the books, book 1 and book 3, as mentioned earlier before we did the testing, to see if they are still available. If they are still available, then it means our code unit or our procedure has a bug, and we will fix it before the end of this video. Book 1, let's see the status. It's booked. Nice. So let's see book 3. Nice, it's booked. Okay, the program was able to book those two books because there isn't a repeat here. This repeat in other languages, it can be while. However, in AL you can still use while, in as much as there was a rumors or some news of it being deprecated in some fashions. So you can use for maybe in Java or in JavaScript for those who are using different languages. But in AL, we prefer using repeat. So it will loop these records until this condition, until there is no other book lending under the filters that we've set here. There are no records of that kind of book. So my viewers, that is it about a code unit. We can still do much and do more and learn more about code units. And as I said, the best thing about code units is that you can still use this code elsewhere. So let me just demonstrate where else I can use this code. You are having these book lendings. Maybe you don't want to open the card right here. Maybe you just want to run your code in this list. So we can go to this list. Okay. You can always copy the ID of the list right here. And then you go back to your source code, global search, Control Shift F, book lendings. And then you go to the actions. Before the actions, let's create a variable. I'll just do this real quick. Library management. It's a code unit. Sorry, it's a code unit of library management. So I'll also create action. Sorry. Actions should come right here. So our action will have area processing. We can still use navigation. Then we can have an action here for maybe approve. You can call it approve. Then the body of the action, we must leave our application area so that you can expose that action on the front end. And then you can have an image maybe to approve. It's not necessary, but it's good to have it. You can promote it. In lists, you can promote as true, but in list paths, you cannot use this promote and promoted category. It will always give you a warning, not an error per se, but a warning. So again, remember we've not even done anything in this action. I mean, we've not triggered any operation. So let's create a trigger by using a snippet TTR. Hit enter, then change the name to on action. And then right here, you can call our library management system dot bookkeeping, and then you must pass in the current record. So this is my demonstration of how you can reuse the same procedure in this code unit in different objects. You can see it as references. What these references means is that this code unit has been referenced or has been used or has been called to be used 2 times in this source code. So if I click control click, it will give me where specifically that code unit has been, or that object has been called. You can see in book lending and book lendings. So this is the list and this is the card. This is where we started. This part, this is the card, and then this list is where we are now. So let's publish and test, and we can wrap it up on the procedures. So don't worry, it might be a bit tricky to understand now that we started on a high level, but I promise I'll bring whole video of from a simple code unit to complex code unit. This is a moderately simpler code unit. It's not even close to being complex, but now it's done publishing. Let's go to landings. You can see there's an action to approve right here. So you have to select a record. Let's see this record. If it has books, let's try to book another book. There's only one book remaining, so it means all other books have been booked. So let me go back to the list and try to execute this. Yes, it has approved successfully and books have been booked. So let's see our book if it has been booked. The last book, yes, it has been booked in the book landing lines. And again, under the books, let's see in the list of our books, we have modern literature. It has been booked. So again, thank you, and please continue supporting this channel by only, you don't have to give anything, you just have to watch, like, give a comment wherever you feel like your concerns need to be addressed in a different way, or whichever question you have, please drop our question down below the description link, the comment section. And for that case, thank you for watching, and you're welcome for the next video that we'll be doing.